The Germans were hard at work designing the ultimate doomsday weapon to destroy New York in one fell swoop. A massive flying wing bomber that would have dwarfed anything the United States had ever seen before. This is the story of the Nazi bomber made to destroy New York, the Horten H-1818 Flying Wing America bomber. On December 7, 1941, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, and 3 days later, the United States would declare war against Japan. And so began America's involvement in World War II. The American public was outraged over the attack and wanted revenge. President Roosevelt retaliated by freezing all German assets within the U.S. and also forbidding American ships from transporting any cargo to or from Germany. The rest of the country would surely fall into chaos. America had not yet developed the capacity to fight back against a direct aerial attack. There were just two problems with this plan. One, the United States is actually very large. And two, building a plane large enough to do such damage would be virtually impossible. The Horten brothers, Walter and Reimar, were pioneers in the field of aircraft design. They were commissioned by the Luftwaffe to build several jet-powered aircraft. This led to the Horten brothers leaving the Luftwaffe and setting up their own aircraft manufacturing company. Despite this setback, the Horten brothers continued working on their jet designs in secret, and when the opportunity arose again in 1937, they quickly got back to work. Using all of the research and technology that they had developed while working for the Luftwaffe, the Horten brothers created a massive flying wing design that would dwarf anything the world had ever seen before. It would be powered by 18 jet engines, each producing over 2,000 pounds of thrust, and it would have a wingspan of over 325 feet with a length of 151 feet. But before they could even get to work building the prototype, the Horten brothers argued that their design would eliminate the need for heavy defensive turrets. By 1941, the wings were complete and they were moved to an airbase near Berlin where the fuselage would be attached. But almost immediately, there were problems. The wings were so large that they couldn't be lifted by any of the cranes at the airbase, so they had to be lowered to the ground and rolled into position. Then, of course, there was the issue of actually assembling the plane. The Horten brothers had designed such a complex machine that even experienced German engineers had no idea where to start. Build a flying wing design with a wingspan larger than a football field and a length longer than a train car. Even getting it off the ground was going to be an impossibility. The time was running out, but it only lasted a few seconds. The plane barely left the ground before it began to shake violently, and eventually it just came crashing back down to earth. The Horten brothers went back to the drawing board, and they came up with a new design that was slightly smaller, but it was much more aerodynamic. This time they focused less on having the plane carry a huge bomb load and more on simply getting it off the ground. But despite their best efforts, the second America bomber was even worse than the first. It barely managed to get off the ground at all, and it ended up crashing into a tree. After the war, the Horten brothers would go on to help design some of the earliest commercial jetliners. But their legacy would always be tied to their most famous design, the Nazi bomber made to destroy New York. Please be sure to subscribe and leave me a comment below about what you think would happen if a giant Nazi bomber appeared over New York City in 1943. I couldn't wait to see you all in the next video.